And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Wednesday, June 19th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate, get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So with that being said, let's get into what we are going to talk about for today. So we're going to start off the show. We're going to talk about Matt Ryan and Arthur Blank. They will be inducted into the Falcons Ring of Honor, so I'll get into that. Then in the second part of the show, I will continue my schedule breakdowns. Today we will be going through the Baltimore Ravens schedule, so I'll give you my early win-loss predictions for them. Then in the third part of the show, we will talk about Austin Ekeler and why he left the Chargers and signed with the Commanders, so we'll get into that. Then in the fourth part of the show, we'll talk about a GM commenting on Tua Tagovailoa and his contract situation, how the Dolphins should have Tua play out his current contract instead of giving Tua this big 50, because he's going to make, what Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow are making, or close to that. They're making $55 million a year. So an anonymous GM said the Dolphins should have Tua play out the contract. So I'll get into that and give you my thoughts on that. And then in the final part of the show, we'll talk about Bryce Young and him kind of just talking about how last year went and now how he's looking to bounce back here in year two with the Panthers for the 2024 season. So that's the rundown for the show. So let's get into the first topic, which is talking about Matt Ryan and Arthur Blank are going to be inducted into the Falcons Ring of Honor. So Arthur Blank, of course, is the owner of the Atlanta Falcons. So he purchased the team in 2002, has made the playoffs 8 times. The Falcons have made the playoffs 8 times while he's been the owner from 2002. Between 2002 and 2017, they made the playoffs 8 times. One Super Bowl appearance, that was back in 2016, of course, against the Patriots. And the team value has gone up from $545 million in 2002 to $4.7 billion as of August of 2023. So that's impressive. And if he ends up selling the team at some point, well, it's going to cost even more, of course. And then with Matt Ryan, he was the 3rd overall pick in the 2008 NFL Draft. He led the Falcons to an 11-5 season in his rookie year and a playoff appearance, earning Offensive Rookie of the Year honors. Made the playoffs 6 times. Won MVP back in 2016. They got the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl appearance. He was an Offensive Player of the Year, first team All-Pro, 69.9% completion percentage, nearly 5,000 yards passing, 38 touchdowns. They did make the playoffs the following season, but they did lose to the Eagles in the divisional round. And his career stats, well, his final season with Atlanta, that was back in 2021. Completion percentage is 67%, nearly 4,000 yards passing and 20 touchdowns. His career stats with the Falcons, completion percentage of 65.5%, nearly 60,000 yards, 59,735 passing yards, and 367 touchdowns. And his record as a starter, 124 and 108. So, I think it's well-deserved for both of these guys. Now, I know you would say, when you look at Matt Ryan and his career as a whole, you're probably like, well, you're kind of hoping for more out of him. And I know when he announced his retirement, I did a segment on that. I think it was like a couple of months ago. I forget when exactly it was, but I kind of just talked about how I think I kind of touched upon the same thing. How, yeah, I mean, there was a couple times where they were the number one seed, the Falcons, and they lost to the Packers, and the year Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, and they also lost to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. They blew that lead. And then they made it to the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and then, of course, we all know what happened. And it's unfortunate for Matt Ryan that Super Bowl loss is always going to be a part of him. And I think even with that Super Bowl loss, I think he had a solid career. And I did say I felt like he could make the Hall of Fame, but I know that day, I believe, when the day I did the show about him retiring, we talked about it in our production meeting, and I think the majority of people said he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Now, Tommy, who's the host of the College Football Podcast, he said he does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but he was being biased. There was some bias there. But, yeah, I feel like him not having a Super Bowl, that does really hurt his chances of getting into the Hall of Fame. But either way, he does, of course, deserve to be in the Falcons Ring of Honor. I think that's something that can be universally agreed upon. He had a lot of good years with the Falcons. And, towards the end, yeah, it wasn't how I think he hoped it would be. The Falcons, weren't very good anymore. And he tried to revitalize his career in Indianapolis, and that didn't go well either. But, yeah, I mean, you were kind of hoping for a better ending for Matt Ryan and the Falcons, but that just never happened. So, but either way, I mean, he deserves this. Like I said, had a lot of good years with the Falcons. It's just, yeah, I mean, they came up short. But, both of these guys definitely deserve it. The contributions that they've made to this organization. And Arthur Blank, now with this current team, let's see if they can get it done. Now, I don't necessarily think so. I think this team is very talented. I think that you look at them as the favorites in the NFC South, in my opinion. But I think in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to the NFC, I don't think they are a team that can make it to the Super Bowl and go far in the playoffs. Well, go far in the playoffs and then try to get to a Super Bowl. Because I just think there's other teams in the conference that are better. That's really what it comes down to. And Kirk Cousins, as much as he, puts up solid numbers and, he was on his way to having another solid year last year before he got hurt, Kirk Cousins doesn't take you far in the playoffs. The furthest he's gone is the second round. And I think that's really as far as the Falcons are going to go. But that doesn't mean that they can't go out there and surprise people. Because they do have a lot of talent on this team. And, we'll see what ends up happening once Kirk Cousins leaves or retires. And we get to see Michael Penix and what, if he's actually the long-term answer at quarterback. But that's down the line. And the Falcons are hoping they don't see him within the 4 years of Kirk Cousins' contract. But yeah, this could be the best Falcons team that we've seen in a while. Because, the last time they made the playoffs, I think, was 2017 when they lost to the Eagles. It's been a long time. And like I was saying with Matt Ryan, yeah, it didn't end how he hoped it would in Atlanta. There was some bad years. And eventually they moved off of him. But the Falcons are looking to get back to the postseason, and we'll see what happens. And I think they are a team that can make the postseason. But like I said, I don't really think they're going to go that far. I know this is way in advance, but that's just my opinion. But they could surprise me. They could surprise people. They definitely could. So, but yeah, I kind of just wanted to talk about the current state of the Falcons with Arthur Blank because, yeah, I mean, look, they have a good team. I think defensively, that's something to keep an eye on. See how the defense does. Offensively, I'm excited to see what these playmakers can do now with Kirk Cousins, who does put up good numbers. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, congratulations to both of these guys. Like I said, they really deserve it. Being inducted into the Falcons Ring of Honor. Um, and I think in October is when the actual ceremony is going to be. Yeah, so the induction date is October 3rd. So, um, Falcons fans will definitely be excited for that. And yeah, like I said, congratulations to them. They both deserve it. So, let me know what you guys think, though. What was your favorite moment from Matt Ryan's career? And what are your expectations for the Falcons going into the 2024 season? I think when I went over their schedule, I had them winning about 10 games. I think that's fair. But Kirk Cousins is coming off of a significant injury. So we'll see how he bounces back from that. I said I think he's going to do fine, but only time will tell. So we're going to take our first break of the show here. And then when we come back, we are going to continue our schedule breakdowns. Today we will be doing the Baltimore Ravens schedule. So that is what we will break down when we come back from our first break. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.